First of all, I want to really appreciate and thank you for giving me this time and the opportunity to be here in my streaming, and also thank you to Kelly, that which has been like the link between you and me. And so
Well,
really
you
thank you
rated
both.
me a few times.
Yeah, yeah, also.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
The South American Lost Ark community has actually been very supportive of me for a very long time now, and I always feel kind of bad because, like, first of all, my chat is always in English, so I think that people who are from South America sometimes feel a little bit uneasy about writing in my chat, and then also, like, from all the Korean server streamers that speak English, none of them really interact with the South American community that much. So I always felt kind of bad, like maybe people from South America felt a little left out. I'm glad that you invited me on to do this.
Ok, so Saint nos acaba de decir que la comunidad latinoamericana lo ha apoyado durante mucho tiempo él. Y él siempre se sintió como un poquito, entre comillas, mal porque nunca tuvo la oportunidad de como mostrar gratitud de vuelta. Entonces, él se siente como súper feliz de que lo hayamos invitado a esta oportunidad porque puede como tener un medio para poder comunicarse con nosotros, la comunidad latinoamericana, y generar cierto un nexo y, bueno, responder nuestras preguntas. Bien. Eso más o menos es lo que nos dijo Saint. Okay, Saint, so let's start the interview. So, first of all, I'm gonna ask the question in Spanish, and then I'm gonna ask in English, so you can like answer right away.
Okay.
Okay, so first off, in Spanish. Para saber un poco cómo comenzó tu historia en el mundo de los videojuegos, ¿cuál fue tu primer gran juego o primer MMO en que hayas invertido una gran cantidad de tiempo? Okay, so just so we know a little bit about how you began playing MMOs or video games, generally speaking, which was the first game or MMO that you invested a lot of time in?
So I don't think we can really count Diablo 2, but that was like the first online game that I played back in like the early 2000s because my cousin played that game and I really liked it. It was the first time that I saw like a game where you can, play with other people online. But if we're talking about like an actual MMO, then the first one that I played and played for many years was a French MMO called Dofus.
Oh.
And it was because at the time my favorite game on the original PlayStation was a game called Final Fantasy Tactics. And I was trying to find an online game that was similar to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Diablo 2 fue el primer juego que jugué porque lo jugaba mi primo cerca de los años 2000 y me gustó porque podía principalmente jugar con otras personas. Aunque el primer MMORPG de verdad que jugué por muchos años era uno de Francia llamado Dofus. Y antes de eso yo jugaba Final Fantasy Tactics en consola, entonces traté de buscar algo parecido a eso y encontré Dofus.
Thank you very much. So, okay, you started in Dofus. That's great. So my next question is a little bit more about other games. So, en mi pequeña investigación, noté que jugabas distintos MMOs antiguamente como Wakfu, Revelation Online, Tree of Saviors y subías contenidos de ellos a tu canal de YouTube. ¿Cuáles dirías tú que fueron los MMORPG que más te gustaron y te marcaron en la vida? ¿Y por qué te has mantenido últimamente jugando Lost Ark? So, in English, in the little research that I did, I noticed that you have been played other MMOs in the past, like Wakfu, Revelation Online, Tree of Saviors, and you uploaded content to your YouTube channel. Which would you say were the MMORPGs you enjoyed the most and left a mark in your life? And why have you stuck to Lost Ark only lately?
I played a lot of MMOs because I think it was my favorite genre of games. Even before that, I played games like World of Warcraft, of course, because a lot of my friends played it. So I would always try and find that. Wakfu was because I played Dofus, and naturally I thought that the sequel to Dofus, Wakfu, would be good. It wasn't. And then after that, I just tried many, many different games, and I tried to just play games that my friends played because I wanted to, just play games with them. But as the years went on, I kind of started playing games with a lot of those people less. And then eventually I found Lost Ark, and Lost Ark came out in 2018. But I think everyone saw Lost Ark in 2014, back when they first showcased it. And everyone thought it was amazing. So when that game came out, it was just so good compared to everything else I was playing that I spent all of my time with that. And it had a lot of downsides, but because I was already spending so much time and money on it, I stuck with it. And I was very lucky that it got better.
And
Yeah.
can I add a little question, maybe?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you say you stuck with Lost Ark. So at the beginning, I can read. You didn't have much fun, do you?
Yes, that's right.
You did have fun, or you didn't?
Well, of course it was fun because all MMOs are fun at
yeah,
the beginning.
yeah, of
All
course.
Of them.
Yeah.
Lost Ark had a lot of really big problems back in season 1 a few years ago, and it was difficult to stick with the game after certain updates, but I just kept doing it because I hoped it would get better. It was,
Okay.
Yeah, it was copium.
Voy a partir con la primera pregunta.
Sí.
He jugado hartos MMO porque creo que es mi género favorito. Antes jugaba WoW con mis amigos y trataba de estar con ellos. Jugué Dofus, Wakfu y después de eso probé varios juegos que mis amigos jugaban solo porque quería jugar algo con ellos. Pasaron los años y cada vez jugaba con menos gente, hasta que Lost Ark salió en 2018. Aunque la mayoría de la gente lo vio en 2014 cuando mostraron un tráiler por primera vez. Juego harto Lost Ark, aunque requiera mucho tiempo y haya gastado harto dinero, porque me gusta mucho, aunque ya me recuperé y no gasto tanto dinero ahora. Y la segunda pregunta es que Lost Ark, a pesar de que en los primeros años fue difícil mantener como el ritmo del juego, porque después de ciertas actualizaciones te quedabas estancado en cierto punto, lo sigo jugando porque han sabido salir adelante con ese problema y ahora lo paso bien y me gusta mucho.
Thank you very much, Mimi. Okay, so the next question. ¿Cuándo fue el momento, entonces, que dirías que Lost Ark para ti personalmente se volvió nuevamente divertido? ¿Cuando salió Baltán y los comandantes de Legión o Asaltos de la Horda, como se llaman en Sudamérica? So, when was the moment that the game actually turned out fun for you again? Is that moment with Baltan and the Legion commanders? Or when did you say that happened?
So if you go back about 2 years ago, Lost Ark was in a really bad spot, but Smilegate made a lot of promises that they would improve it.
Okay.
It was a very unique thing because Smilegate and director Gold River, they admitted that the game was bad, and they wanted to kind of do what Final Fantasy XIV did back during an expansion called A Realm Reborn, where they would fix the game from its core issues. So when we went from season 1 to season 2, which is the season that you have today in the Western version of Lost Ark, a lot of things changed fundamentally about the game. Content that people didn't like, they just removed altogether, and content that people did like, they kind of re-added back into Lost Ark as dailies and weeklies because people really enjoyed them. Like the current Chaos Dungeon, back in season 1, the Chaos Dungeon was the story dungeon. Actually, you had to do the story dungeon when you were leveling every day for materials to upgrade. So when we went to season 2, people still didn't fully trust Smilegate. But then, do you know what Loa On is?
Loawa?
Loa
On.
Yeah.
It's like a special convention where they show the future of the game.
Okay, yeah.
So in 2020, they showed Loa on, and then they made a lot of big promises with the Legion Commander raids and new classes and a lot of content. And then when they finally added that content, that's when we began to trust them and began to have a lot of fun with the game again.
Ajá.
Yeah.
Hace años, Lost Ark estaba muy mal. Smilegate hacía promesas que no cumplía. Se parece a Amazon. Hasta un punto que Gold River admitió que el juego estaba mal. Gold River, el CEO de Smilegate. Intentaron hacer lo que Final Fantasy XIV hizo con nuevas actualizaciones grandes. Cuando pasamos de la temporada 1 a la 2, fue cuando cambió harto el juego y eliminaron mucho contenido que a la gente no le gustaba y metieron contenido que sí le gustaba hacer a la gente. Por ejemplo, las caos, que nosotros hacemos hoy día, es algo bien simple. Antes eran una historia que tenías que hacer a diario para materiales. A diferencia de las de hoy, algo simple con hacer una historia es más complejo. El 2020 mostraron el primer Loa On, que es como la E3 de Lost Ark, con las Legion Raids, Valtan, Vaikas, Berechasa, Kakulsaidon, Akan y próximamente Taemin, y un montón de nuevas clases. Y cuando recién sacaron ese contenido en el juego en Corea, fue cuando recién la gente le volvió a tener confianza nuevamente a Smilegate, que se había perdido anteriormente debido a las promesas que no cumplían.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
And then the other reason why a lot of people really liked Smilegate at this point was there was some luck involved. Every other MMORPG around Lost Ark was caught in controversy and scandal. So games like MapleStory and Black Desert Online, World of Warcraft, they all had really big problems all at around the same time. And so many friends of players recommended Lost Ark to refugees from these games. And so Lost Ark stole a lot of the players from these other games because it felt like a game that the company making it actually didn't treat the players poorly. So I think Lost Ark became a very beloved game at this time because it was a game that brought a lot of players from Korea together. And so today, Lost Ark is the #1 MMO in Korea by a very big amount.
Mm-hmm.
Hubo un punto en el que a la gente no le gustaba Smilegate y era justamente porque todos los juegos en Corea tenían incluido el factor del azar, como MapleStory y Black Desert. Los que han jugado Black Desert saben el sistema asqueroso del azar que tiene. Para los que no saben contexto, tú estás encantando y si falla el encantamiento se te devuelve un encantamiento anterior. Entonces ese sistema de azar es algo que Lost Ark implementó de una manera más amigable y ese fue un punto en el que Lost Ark se robó, por así decirlo, un montón de jugadores de los otros juegos, como Black Desert. Y a día de hoy a la gente le gusta Lost Ark porque no trata a los jugadores de una manera tan pobre como otros juegos que te castigan mucho si tú fallas si no tienes buena suerte, básicamente. Y fue acá cuando Lost Ark se convirtió en el juego número 1 más jugado en Corea.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. Ok, next question. So, ¿cómo compararías los jefes de este MMO a los jefes que tenemos en Lost Ark? Específicamente con los asaltos de la Horda, hablando de los MMO que tú hayas jugado en tu vida. So, how would you compare the bosses, attack patterns, mechanics, etc., of the games that you played before compared to the bosses in Lost Ark, more specifically, the Legion Commanders?
It's pretty funny because if I asked you, you've done Vulcan now.
Yeah.
Vulcan's pretty easy for you now, right? Not that bad.
Not normal and hard, yeah, but we do some funny stuff. Like we go with Pala DPS, so we spice a little bit.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah, we can clear it with the main team.
Right,
We can
right.
clear it like pretty easy. Yeah.
Right. Would you say that it's easier to dodge Vulcan's attacks or the early Guardian raid attacks, like tier 1, tier 2 Guardians? Which do you think is easier?
It's kind of tricky
¿Responder o quieres que
question.
traduzca?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to avoid the attack and not get hit.
I mean, the Guardian, I guess, is easier.
I would say it's actually
Around?
the opposite.
Yeah, because it kind of...
Yeah. Because the Legion General is very structured.
Oh, okay,
right?
yeah, I see what you mean.
But the Guardian raid is like Argos. You don't really know what it's gonna do, and it's unpredictable.
I
Like when
feel.
Argos jumps and then kicks behind it, the donkey kick, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that the Legion commanders are very well designed for the most part, and it makes you get better at it over time. It becomes more predictable and easier to read what the attacks of the Legion commanders look like the more you play them. When you do Vicus, for example, it will look very confusing. You won't know how to dodge the attacks, but if you do it long enough, you will. And so most of the games that I played before Lost Ark, they were, most of them were, you know, tab target, or the attack patterns were simple, so it was quick to learn. Lost Ark is difficult at first, but like all other MMOs, with enough practice, you can master the fight and avoid everything. Yeah. So, yep, just enough practice.
Primero, Saintone pregunta, ¿qué es más fácil para nosotros? ¿Baltan? Esquivar los patrones normales de Baltan, de ataques normales, o un guardián de tier 1, como puede ser Urnil, Lumerus. Y haciendo como hincapié a eso de los patrones, Saintone dice que los Legion Commanders, los comandantes de la Legión, acá están bien estructurados. A diferencia de Argos o de los guardianes, que los patrones pueden ser un poco random, azarosos en ciertos puntos. A tal punto de que incluso Argos podría ser más molesto que hacer que Baltan. Porque Argos empieza a pegar ese giro que pega con el salto, más la patada hacia atrás, que no sabes cuándo lo va a hacer. Pero tú puedes leer a Baltan después de varias veces haciéndolo. Las primeras veces, igual que con Vicas y con el resto de comandantes, se te va a hacer difícil. Cuando llegue Vicas, nosotros vamos a ver a Vicas, no vamos a poder esquivar nada básicamente porque no sabemos los patrones básicos. Pero con el tiempo se nos va a hacer mucho más fácil. Entonces, en resumen, las Legion Commanders, los comandantes de la Legión, al principio son difíciles, y mientras más los haces, mucho más fáciles son. A diferencia de los jefes en otros juegos que tienen patrones muy simples.
Thank you, Mimi. So the next question is kind of a long one. In Spanish first. Uno de los puntos más fuertes de Lost Ark como un MMORPG son los jefes, los asaltos de la Horda o Legion Commanders. Y es el hecho de que Lost Ark respeta a los jugadores hablando de los jefes, ya que todos los Legion Commander que han salido tienen una curva de aprendizaje y un nivel mínimo de conocimiento que uno debe tener para poder derrotarlos. Ya sea que derrotes Baltan normal o difícil, tienes tú como jugador que obtener el conocimiento de todas las mecánicas y demás que se necesitan para poder derrotarlo. No tenemos en Lost Ark un Baltan fácil que disminuya la cantidad de mecánicas y trivialice el jefe con el objetivo de que la mayoría de los jugadores pueda derrotarlo, como lo hacen muchos MMORPG, como por ejemplo World of Warcraft, con los niveles de dificultad fácil en las raids, las dificultades LFG. ¿Qué opinas de este sentimiento respecto a los jefes de Lost Ark? ¿Concuerdas que ha sido una buena filosofía para el juego en que no exista una dificultad fácil de los jefes de Legión y se mantenga la dificultad y la curva de aprendizaje a diferencia de como lo han hecho otros juegos como World of Warcraft? So, one of the strongest aspects of Lost Ark as a good MMORPG is the Legion raids, and it is the fact that Lost Ark honors the players by releasing challenging bosses, since all of them have a learning curve and a minimum of knowledge you must have to defeat them. Whether it's normal or hard mode Baltan, you as a player have the obligation of acquiring that knowledge, attack patterns, both individual and group-wide mechanic, etc., to be able to defeat the boss. We don't have an easy mode Baltan, which could be like a version with less mechanics and makes the boss easier so most players can actually defeat it. World of Warcraft does this with easy difficult raids or LFG. What is your opinion or do you feel about Legion raids difficulty so far? Would you agree that this is a good philosophy to have in the game, specifically in the Legion Commander bosses, having this difficulty contrary on what WoW does?
I think it's pretty fair. The current version of the Legion raids that you fight today, they have been tuned in such a way that if players feel like they are too difficult, they can go to normal mode. I think they do a really good job of the pattern differences in normal and hard mode, that you can kind of consider normal mode to be easy mode in a way. That being said, with the Legion commander that comes after Vicus, Saintone, and the one that comes after that, Belshazzar, they actually do have a practice mode or an easy mode in addition to the normal mode.
Oh.
So for the players that cannot get the item level to challenge these fights, they can do the practice mode, and even if they don't get the material for crafting the gear, they can get the experience in a more relaxed version of the fight and earn some currency to get more honing materials and other cool things like stickers, legendary card packs, and so on. So I think Lost Ark's pretty good with the whole difficulty thing. I think they have a difficulty for every type of player, whether it's the practice mode, normal mode, hard mode, or later on even the hell mode. It's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, you said Vicus, Saintone, and Belshazzar, all of them have practice mode?
No. Only Saintone and Belshazzar. Vicus does not have a practice mode, but there's a big difference between normal Vicus and hard Vicus. If Vicus seems difficult, there's no problem going to normal mode, and normal mode is much more relaxed. I think most players won't have difficulty clearing normal mode.
Okay, I think we're gonna have a hard time there. Siento que la versión que tenemos hoy de los comandantes de la Legión es justa. Si los jugadores sienten que es muy difícil, en el caso de Vicus, pueden moverse a la versión normal, que a diferencia de Baltan, que solo aumenta el daño y unos par de patrones que son diferentes, Vicus normal y modo difícil son muy diferentes entre sí. Ahora, con respecto al modo práctica, las siguientes Legion Raids que vienen, la de Saintone, el payaso y Belshazzar, sí tienen un modo de práctica, que si tú sientes que la raid como tal es muy difícil, tanto en normal como en dificultad difícil, valga la redundancia, tú puedes ir al modo de práctica y va a ser mucho más fácil que hacer la raid normalmente, y de igual manera vas a recibir un poco de oro, un poco de material, obviamente no lo que daría normalmente, pero sí vas a recibir también stickers, puedes recibir básicamente menos dificultad, lo puedes hacer igual, pero te van a dar menos recompensas. Esa es la única diferencia.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. Okay, so the next question. ¿Cuál es el contenido horizontal que más te gusta? Coleccionables, housing, oficio, etc. En tu experiencia, ¿el contenido horizontal de Lost Ark es único en términos de cómo se relaciona con el contenido vertical y qué tan necesario es para este? ¿O se parece a algún otro juego previo ya hecho en Corea? So, which is the horizontal content you enjoy the most? And in your experience, is Lost Ark horizontal content unique in terms of how it relates or bonds with vertical content? Or is it just like any other Korean MMO?
I'd say that a lot of the horizontal stuff, you have to do it. because of things like skill points and whatnot that you need. So there's a bare minimum of horizontal content that you must do, and then anything beyond that is optional. I really enjoy the housing a lot, but most people cannot do the housing because it costs gold to craft the decorations, and people need their gold for their honing.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to actually find time to actually get into stuff like housing, for example. One moment.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the horizontal content in Lost Ark, it's one time and one time only. You do it once and then you never have to do it again. Lost Ark, it has its daily, its homework, and then it has its weekly content. And then most of the side content, it sits there and it waits for you. You can do it whenever you want, and once you're done with it, it's done forever. So I think it's good for people who get all their homework done and want to do other things on the side, like the adventure islands, collecting the collectibles for skill points and other good rewards, such as the Ignia tokens and everything. So I don't think there's anything unique about the horizontal content about Lost Ark. Maybe it used to be a little bit more unique when things like the card game were in back in season 1, but today I think it's just something nice for people to do on the side.
Diría que tienes que hacer la mayoría de contenido horizontal para obtener puntos de habilidad, runas, etc. Así que sí está relacionado con el contenido vertical. Saintone dice, a mí me gusta el housing, que es la personalización de tu fortaleza, ¿no? Pero la mayoría de la gente no puede hacerlo porque requiere mucho oro, y la gente necesita su oro para el honing, para encantar y mejorar su equipamiento. Aunque menciona que en este contenido horizontal no es nada único hoy en día. Antes, cuando existían las carreras de Mario Kart, sí lo eran, pero ahora no. No es nada innovador. Pero sí sería bueno para la gente que hicieran su tarea para la casa, como islas aventura, coleccionables, para poder así tener un mejor contenido vertical debido a las recompensas buenas como skill points, puntos de habilidad o runas, como mencioné anteriormente, que te da este contenido horizontal.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. Okay, so next couple of questions, I have like a couple of spicy topics. First of all, en términos de lo que se conoce como pay to win, han habido extensos debates al respecto en Lost Ark, y el mayor problema de la incógnita, si es que Lost Ark es un juego pay to win o no, es la definición de qué es win, qué es lo que sería ganar en un MMORPG y específicamente en Lost Ark. Para ti, ¿qué es ganar en Lost Ark? Y en base a esto, ¿sería o no pay to win el juego? So, in terms of what is known as pay to win, there have been many debates regarding Lost Ark being or not being a pay to win game. How the win part of pay to win relates to Lost Ark. For you, what is winning in Lost Ark? And based on that, will you think this game is pay to win or not?
Okay. Well, I mean, very bluntly, I think that Lost Ark is pay to win, yes.
Okay.
But no matter who you can ask any number of people this, they will give you a different answer.
Yeah.
It's a very... I think nowadays, because it's so topical, everyone has their own definition of pay to win. For me, it's if you spend money and it helps you get stronger, then it's pay to win. The way that I see it is, can you tolerate it being pay to win? Different games are more pay to win than others. You can look at an example of Diablo Immortal right now. It's a good example. So,
I guess.
if you like the game enough where you can enjoy it without having to pay, and you can tolerate that other people will pay to get ahead of you, I think that is a mark of a good game. I don't think it's good that pay to win is in the industry, but I think it's inevitable because today games are bigger than they ever have been before, and there's many people in the video game industry who look at games as a business.
Yeah.
And so they look to ways to make money, to impress shareholders, and stuff like that. Lost Ark, as far as Korean MMOs go, does a good job of letting you enjoy all the content without paying, but there is still pay to win in the game. Gold is everything. Gold is power.
Yeah.
So I used to care a lot about being like high item level, but then they came out with something called the Esther weapon, and that was just too expensive for me, so I stopped. And I care less about that now because I prefer the hell mode content, where you cannot bring your power into it, and I feel more proud of that than I do of stuff outside of hell mode.
Esta respuesta los va a tranquilizar a muchos. Sí, creo firmemente que Lost Ark es pay to win, aunque varias personas te podrían responder de manera diferente. Para mí, en este juego, ganar es, si gastas dinero y te hace más fuerte, es pay to win. Podemos tomar el ejemplo de Diablo Immortal. Tú puedes jugar un juego, puedes disfrutarlo sin pagar, pero ¿podrías tú tolerar que otras personas paguen y se hagan más fuertes que tú? Por ende, no creo que sea bueno lo de pay to win esté en la industria, aunque hoy en día los juegos se ven bien como una empresa, ¿no? Si eres más fuerte en el juego, podrías hacer un stream, hacerte más famoso por tu poder, entre comillas, que en realidad tener el arma más 25, etc. Aunque Lost Ark te deja disfrutar mucho contenido sin pagar, pero hay un montón de contenido que está bloqueado. Hoy en día, y bueno, en casi toda la historia del juego, el oro lo es todo y lo ha sido todo. Tú no puedes hacer casi nada sin oro. Y aunque ya Saintone dice que ya no le importa mucho esto, el sentido de como pay to win, porque prefiere los modos Hell Mode, la dificultad de infierno que se viene próximamente, porque tú no puedes llevar tu propio poder para el que pagaste dentro de esa dificultad de infierno, porque todos tenemos el mismo equipo y todos estamos balanceados. Así que si tú tienes un arma más 25 o una Esther más 8, da lo mismo porque todos tienen el mismo equipo.
Thank you. So the next question is regarding Pheons. So, según tengo entendido, el sistema de Pheons funciona de manera idéntica tanto en Corea como en el Occidente. Este estaría siendo un sistema que generaría un coste extra en cada transacción de objetos importantes como accesorios y skins. Coste extra que desaparece ya que el vendedor no recibe el Pheon gastado en la transacción, solo el oro. Con la llegada del equipo Reliquia, la gente del Occidente ya está sintiendo el coste de los Pheon y las consecuencias de haberlo mal gastado en los primeros meses. Además de verse enfrentados a problemas como no poder pasarle accesorios a tus alters si no tienes el Pheon para pagarlo, ya que se debe pagar aun cuando sea una transacción de dos personajes de la misma cuenta. ¿Cuál es tu opinión respecto a los Pheons y cuál crees tú que es la razón por la cual existen dentro de Lost Ark? So, as I understand it, the Pheon system works exactly the same way in both Korea and in the West. This will be a system that generates an extra cost in every transaction of important items such as accessories or skins. That cost disappears since the seller doesn't receive any of the spent Pheon, only the gold. With the arrival of relic accessories in the West, players are already feeling the high cost of Pheon and the consequences of wasting them during the first month. Also, you can't trade accessories within your own characters if you don't have Pheons, since you still have to pay that tax. Which is your opinion regarding Pheons, and what do you think is the reason they exist in Lost Ark?
I don't like Pheons. They're pretty annoying, and for me, normally I don't think too much about them because, you know, at the end of the day, it's an added gold cost because Pheons are blue crystals, which is gold, and it's always going to be kind of annoying. But the one time where I hate Pheons the most is when you have to transfer the tripod. If I go and buy an item and then I transfer the tripod and then it fails, I have to go and buy another item.
Oh, okay.
And I have to do it again. And then it fails and then I do it again. and then I get really angry, and then I buy 3 items at the same
Oh,
time.
okay.
But then it succeeds on the first one, and now the other 2 I wasted the Pheons on them, and that's very annoying.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very annoying. But there's a funny story actually. It's really not that funny, but before Pheons, there was another system during season 2 called the packaging box. And it worked exactly the same way as Pheons, except the person who was selling had to use the Pheons to list the item onto the auction house. And if it so the person who bought the item, they didn't have to pay Pheons. The seller put the Pheons up. And if the item didn't sell, then you wasted your Pheons.
Oh my god.
So in this old system in Korea back then, there were maybe 1,500 pages of items on the auction house. After they changed it to the current Pheon system, that number jumped from 1,500 to 20,000 pages. Because now everyone could just list their items. They didn't have to pay anymore to do it. You know, it's obviously a system that makes Smilegate money. I think there is some good, but at the same time, you know, why are there Pheons for ability stones? You can't sell back the ability stone afterwards. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for those.
Yeah.
But it is true that I think it helps to prevent market flipping and just like buy, flip the item and make gold like that to some degree, but not entirely, because you buy an item for 10,000 and then maybe you sell it for like 30,000. Pheons don't change.
Yeah.
Don't have that. So overall, I just don't like them.
Yeah, me neither.
The Korean community, every time there's a big live stream, it's like, Smilegate, where's the Pheons? Where's the coupon for the Pheons? The Korean community always wants Pheons every time.
But there hasn't been like a backlash on the Pheon topics of the Korean community, or is like already accepted? Like we have to deal with
Mostly
it.
accepted. Nobody
Okay.
really likes it, but it's better than the old system.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Ya. No. Saintone dice: no me gustan los Pheons. Los encuentro bien molestos. Aunque yo no pienso mucho en ello, a fin de cuentas es un costo extra en oro, así que no me hago mucho problema por aquello. Lo que me molesta es el sistema de trípodes, porque tú compras una parte de equipamiento roto para subir tu trípode y te falla, y te enojas, vuelves a comprar, y te falla, te enojas de nuevo, vuelves a comprar 3, te fallan los 3 y te enojas, y al fin y al cabo todo ese Pheon se perdió en la nada. Hay una historia, de hecho. Antes de los Pheons existía un sistema llamado Packaging Box, que es básicamente como al revés de los Pheons, unos Pheons inversos. El comprador no pagaba Pheons, era el vendedor el que pagaba los Pheons, este sistema. Entonces, si tú querías dejar tu objeto, tu anillo en el mercado, tenías que pagar tú el impuesto extra. Y a nadie le gustaba eso. Por ejemplo, en Corea habían 1500 ítems en el mercado. Después de los Pheons, habían 20.000. Es obvio que fue un cambio bastante grande. Y también es obvio que es un sistema que está diseñado para generarle más dinero a Smilegate y a Amazon en este caso. Aunque es un sistema decente, pero es molesto que tengas que pagar Pheons por los trípodes o incluso por las piedras. Porque si tú compras una piedra, pagas 5 Pheons y te sale mal, no puedes devolver la piedra y ese Pheon se perdió. Aunque sí ayuda a regular el mercado en cierta manera, no es la manera ideal. La comunidad siempre pide Pheons en eventos, a gritos, y nosotros deberíamos hacer lo mismo, de hecho. Aunque es una realidad que ya Corea aceptó. Nosotros todavía estamos algo molestos. Pero lo aceptaron, aunque no les guste mucho, sigue siendo mejor que el sistema anterior, que era el vendedor el que pagaba los Pheons, el impuesto.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. Saint, how are we in time? Are you hurry or we can like
No, it's okay.
It's okay? Okay, because I told you
We're okay.
half an hour and we already like surpassed that. I'm just
It's okay.
checking. Okay, thank you. So the next question is already also like a spicy topic. So, recientemente hemos visto una gran caída en los jugadores online de Steam de Lost Ark, lo que indicaría un efectivo trabajo de Amazon en esta ocasión, ya que habría logrado eliminar, en teoría, a más de 500.000 bots si es que comparamos el pic de jugadores del domingo pasado, 874.000, con el pic de jugadores del día de, ayer domingo, hoy lunes más o menos, 268.000. Los bots habían generado problemas menores como la inflación del valor del oro del juego, pero últimamente están ya generando problemas graves como colapsar los servidores y no permitir a los jugadores reales conectarse. ¿Podrías contarnos si es que en Corea existió o existe actualmente un problema de bots y qué pasó con ellos en el tiempo y cómo lo hicieron allá para combatirlo? Okay, so recently we have been seeing quite a big decrease in the amount of current online Steam player in Lost Ark, which will be an indicator of AGS doing a good job removing all of these bots as they promised. The number of players went from 864,000, which was the peak from last Sunday, to 268,000, which is the peak today. That is 500,000 of less players. Bots had been generating some issues like a gold inflation, but lately they have been generating a more serious one because many servers were collapsing with the numbers of bots and real players were not able to log into the game. Could you please tell us, has this ever happened in Korea, or in the history, what was the bot situation in Korea? Have you ever had these issues in Korea? And if so, how did Smilegate manage to get rid of the bots in Korea?
At the very, very beginning of Lost Ark, there was some botting problems using kind of illegal accounts. But over time, it kind of went away because it is not easy for gold seller bots to make accounts on the Korean server because they require a form of identification. So in the West, if a bot gets banned, they can just make a new Steam account. It's very, very easy to just make a new one. In Korea, that's not the case. So we don't have that many bots. There are bots. I think every few months they might ban like maybe 10 to 20,000 bots, right? Every few months. That's not a lot when you compare it to like the West, for example.
Yeah.
So they exist, but it's not really an issue here. There is still RMT or like real money trade, but it happens between players.
Okay.
So instead of a player buying it from a gold seller website, they buy it from another player, and this is really frequent. It's very common in Korea.
Okay.
So it's kind of difficult. I've worked in the video game industry before. I know what it's like to try and fight against bots.
Mm-hmm.
And Lost Ark, if you take away all the bots, still has a lot more players than most MMOs out there. It still probably has one of the highest actual player count. And that is kind of difficult because in this game, gold is everything. And gold sellers look to games like this as a business.
Yeah.
They want to make money and they can make US dollar while being from a country where the US dollar is very strong and they make more money than they ever could from a normal job. And so if you ban them, they will find a way to go around it and then they will come back because this is their livelihood. This is how they make their money. And Lost Ark is a great game for them to make money from. So even if they're gone for now, I think they will come back. And the fight against bots is an ongoing one. Amazon will find a solution. They'll get rid of the bots will come back. And then Amazon will have to find a new solution. And then it just goes back and forth like that. It's nothing that will ever be permanently solved.
Okay.
Cuando recién empezó Lost Ark en Corea, habían problemas de bots con el uso de cuentas ilegales. Con el paso del tiempo desapareció ese problema porque naturalmente es difícil para vendedores de oro tener más de una cuenta en Corea. No sé si muchos sabrán, pero básicamente te piden una forma de identificación para crearte una cuenta en Corea. En el oeste es diferente. Tú te banean un bot, te hace otra cuenta de Steam y listo, vuelves. Vuelve el bot. Y en Corea sí, hay bots, pero no tantos. Cada ciertos meses banean unos cuantos miles, pero nada comparado al problema que hay en el oeste, que son en una semana banearon aproximadamente 500.000 bots. Lo que sí hay en Corea, no hay tantos bots, pero sí hay RMT, el intercambio de moneda real, que es cuando tú vendes oro por dinero real. Saintone dice, he trabajado antes en la industria, sé lo difícil que es sacar todos los bots del juego. Y aunque el juego, estas personas lo ven como una empresa, es su manera de generar oro. Y Lost Ark para estas personas es un muy buen juego para generar oro y para venderlo por dinero real. A pesar de que Amazon pueda encontrar una solución, Amazon va a encontrar una solución, pero van a banear los bots encuentran una manera de volver y Amazon los va a banear, los bots van a volver y básicamente es una batalla que no termina, ¿no? Es como un ciclo sin fin.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. Okay, so the next kind of hot topic, the DPS meter. So, ¿por qué crees que la comunidad de Lost Ark es reacia o tiene reacciones negativas ante la implementación de un medidor de DPS? ¿Y cuál es tu opinión o sentimiento al respecto de tener uno? Para mí, por ejemplo, como jugador de World of Warcraft, fue muy extraño jugar Lost Ark y no saber en teoría cuánto daño estoy haciendo. So, why would you think the community of Lost Ark has a deep feeling of rejection to the DPS meter in this game? And what is your opinion on this topic and the implementation of a DPS meter in the game? Because for me, a kind of like ex-WoW player, was really weird to like log in this game and don't know how much damage I'm doing besides like seeing my crits like and stuff like that.
So Smilegate has a very firm stance against the DPS meter. Gold River said they would try to ban people that made it clear that they were using the DPS meter. And on the Korean server, we actually had an incident recently where some players were banned for using the DPS meter in Helm mode, and they received a 1,000-year ban. Yeah. So it's kind of tough. Look, I come from games where I like DPS meters. I think it's very useful as a tool to improve yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But the games where DPS meters are most prevalent are games like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy. Though Final Fantasy is not officially supported. I don't even know if World of Warcraft is officially supported, like in-game, or if it's an add-on. In any case, because those are tab target games, your arse or how you perform is very static from one try to the next. Like if you fight a target dummy, it's very realistic to what you'll see in a real fight. But in Lost Ark, this is not the case because every fight has some levels of randomness. Even if you perform really well on the target dummy in Trixion, it does not reflect how you may perform in a real battle. And so I think the community tries very hard to not encourage DPS meters and also not to pay too much attention to the Trixion damage meter because it's very not representative of the real performance of a class. So I'll give you an example. The class Deathblade, when the balance patch happened, a lot of people said that remaining energy was now stronger than Surge Deathblade because it did more damage on the training dummy. But after some time after the update, people realize that Surge is still stronger by enough where they would still want to play it. Because how Surge performs in a real fight, with synergies and timing with the bosses, can outperform remaining energy. And so I think we try very hard to A, respect the wishes of Gold River, who doesn't want that, and B, to try to put more emphasis on player performance than potential of a class. We want people to focus more on the play and less on the numbers and the data. And the last thing that I'll say on this is, if you play Lost Ark long enough, and if you practice enough, you can tell when you are underperforming and how to get better without a DPS meter. You don't need that to know how to improve. Though it would be nice if you had the raw data, you can improve without it.
Ok.
Smilegate tiene una visión firme de los medidores de DPS. El CEO de Smilegate, Gold River, dijo que banearán a cualquiera que use un medidor de DPS daño por segundo. Hace poco hubo un incidente. Banearon a personas, a jugadores, por 1000 años por usar un medidor de DPS en una instancia en dificultad de infierno. Saintone dice: siento que para juegos como WoW o Final Fantasy un medidor de daño por segundo no es gran problema, porque en esos juegos tú estás contra jefes o mobs estáticos que podrían asemejarse a un muñeco de entrenamiento. Por ejemplo, en Trixion tenemos un muñeco de entrenamiento y ahí tenemos un reflejo de DPS que podemos realizar. Pero Saintone dice que este es muy poco realista, porque en la práctica real no vas a jugar, no vas a pegarle por la espalda todo el rato al jefe. Podemos tomar como ejemplo la situación de la clase Espada Letal, Deathblade. Con el último parche de balance, la build de Estallido se fue nerfeada, recibió un porcentaje de daño restado total, y la gente, debido a esto, decía: oh, ahora la otra build de energía restante es mejor que Estallido. ¿Por qué? Porque energía restante está haciendo más daño en Trixion que Estallido. Sin embargo, esto en el juego real, en una Garden Raid, no es así, porque el jefe no está estático y tú no tienes la espalda del jefe en todo el momento. Entonces, un medidor de DPS en Lost Ark sí... en otros juegos sí puede ayudarte a mejorar porque estás contra jefes estáticos. En Lost Ark no. Puedes mejorar con un medidor de DPS, sí, pero también puedes mejorar como jugador sin la necesidad de este medidor. Y Saintone nos recomienda que la gente se concentre más en cómo jugar y en jugar bien, y no en el daño de su clase.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. So, to finalize, I have a couple of my community questions. They are more like shorter ones. So, first of all, ¿cuáles son tus dos clases favoritas que más te gusta jugar en el juego y por qué? Which ones are your two favorite classes in the game that you enjoy the most, and why?
So this always changes because if I make a new class, it's fun because it's different, right?
Yeah, it's new.
You do the same thing every day, you make a new class, it's fun, it's different. And this is also the case if I have a character and then I change its build. It's different. So it makes it the new fun class for me to play. So I played the Deadeye class, and it was the Pistolier build for a long time where it only uses the pistols. And I changed it to the other build now, which uses the shotgun, and now it's super fun to play. And so I think this answer will always change. But right now, my favorite classes to play are the Scouter and maybe the Arcana. They're really... I just made them recently, like a couple months ago, and they're really fun. Sorceress is still my main, but I enjoy all of my characters that are leveled because uh, when you don't gear a character, it's not fun to play.
Yeah.
But if you gear a character well, then it's very fun to play in Lost Ark. So I try to gear up all of my characters.
Ajá.
Esto cambia porque si me hago una clase nueva, es entretenida y podría cambiar mi opinión constantemente sobre qué clase me gusta más. Esto también pasa cuando tengo un personaje y le cambio la build. Es diferente, es otra cosa, experiencia nueva y es entretenido de jugar. Yo juego Cazademonios, el Deadeye, y jugaba la build de solo pistolas. Cuando la cambié a la otra build que usa las 3 armas, sentí que era una experiencia nueva y me entretuve mucho durante un tiempo. Ahora, mis clases favoritas, dice Saintone, son el Scouter y la Arcana. El Scouter es la clase que es como un pistolero con un dron y la Arcana es la clase próxima a venir en julio que usa cartas, ataca con cartas. Aunque la maga sigue siendo mi personaje principal. Disfruto jugar de todos mis personajes porque los tengo a todos bien equipados, pero no es divertido jugar una clase que no tienes equipada en absoluto.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. So, the next question. ¿Cuál sería un consejo que le darías a una persona que está aprendiendo a jugar la clase hechicera y disfruta la clase, o qué te hubiese gustaría saber de la clase cuando empezaste a jugarla? So, what is a piece of advice you will give to a person that is learning to play the sorceress class and enjoy the class? And what would you like to have known about the class when you first start playing it?
With the sorceress, it's really important to learn the animation cancels. So, you know, going from Doomsday to Explosion to Punishing Strike to Prime Arrow, for example. Someone who knows how to do the animation cancels can get that done, you know, like a second faster than someone who can't. And that's a big deal when some of the damage windows are only like 2 seconds long. It's also very important to learn the boss patterns, very much so, because if you don't know the boss patterns well, you can miss your attacks. And all of the value of a sorceress in Lost Ark is burst damage. She cannot do anything else good. Her stagger damage is bad. Her weak point damage is only so-so. Her counter is bad compared to the other classes. So she is only good at raw damage. So if you don't know the timings or the patterns well and you miss your damage, unfortunately, you're contributing much less to the success of a raid than other classes. Every boss, even the most random seeming ones, have patterns that are guaranteed damage for the sorceress. You just need to learn them. And the faster that you learn them, the easier it is to not miss your attacks. So I think a lot of sorceresses will go into the Vicus raid and miss a lot of their attacks. But with enough practice and recognition, they will quickly learn when they can attack and not miss. So really learn the animation cancels and try to learn the guaranteed patterns of every boss for your big burst. And then lastly is try to wait for the supporter buff before you use your burst. I see many times there will be people who use their burst without the supporter buff, and it takes like 40 seconds to get the next burst. So you want to make the most out of every burst that you can. I think most of this is common sense, but you know, because the game is kind of hectic at times, sometimes common sense is not so obvious for people who are playing.
Para la maga es bien importante aprender las cancelaciones de animaciones. Por ejemplo, cancelar el meteorito y tirar el rayo, cancelar el rayo, etcétera, etcétera. Ir de una habilidad a otra. Sobre todo cuando las ventanas de daño que tienes son de 2 segundos aproximadamente. Todo el valor de la maga es el daño explosivo. La sumisión es mala, el weak point es pésimo. es solo buena en eso, en daño explosivo. Entonces, si no te sabes los patrones de los jefes, y estás fallando todo, no estás contribuyendo tanto como otras clases que podrían estar pegando constantemente. Tú fallas un meteorito y pierdes mucho daño. Mientras más rápido aprendas, más fácil se te hará cancelar tus habilidades y lanzarlas bien. Saintone nos dice también: creo que un montón de magas entrarán a Vicas por primera vez y fallarán todo, porque es un jefe, bastante ágil, y el hitbox, además de ser pequeño, las magas no se saben los patrones de ataque de Vicas. Y finalmente, para realizar el mayor daño posible, espera hasta tener todos los buffos de los soportes para hacer el mayor daño posible. Si no estás haciendo esto, estás desperdiciando mucho daño en el vacío.
Muchas gracias, Mimito. So, Saitone, and a next question on that. Do you have like a hard time at the beginning with the sorceress landing your meteors, your doomsday? Or it was like easy for you, like you learned it like quickly?
You know, Sorceress is not that old of a class. Maybe some people in the West think that she was one of the original classes, but Sorceress is less than 1 year old in Korea.
Oh.
It's a very new class, and so, you know, it's not like people are experienced with 3-4 years with this class already. And I don't think that Sorceress is very difficult to learn, but one thing that all sorceresses must know is all of your damage as an igniter sorceress. If you're reflux, this isn't an issue.
Okay, yeah.
But if you're playing igniter, which is the more popular build, you cannot wait to do your burst unless you know within like the next 10 seconds that there's a damage opportunity. If there's no damage opportunity, you must go at the first opportunity. And if the boss decides to do a random pattern and dodge the meteor, there's nothing you could have done about it. The reason for this is, again, all the sorceress damage is in the igniter state. And if your damage is determined by how many of the igniters you can do throughout a fight. If you wait, that means that's less igniters that you can do. So you just do the combo, and if the boss moves out of the way, it's okay. Just work towards the next one. Every sorceress must be able to acknowledge this, that they will miss. Even when they become experts at the class, you will sometimes miss. It's unavoidable.
La gente del oeste puede que crea que la clase es antigua, que era una de las primeras clases, pero en realidad es lo contrario, es algo nueva. Algo que todos los que juegan Mecha deben saber, Igniter, los que juegan Reflujo no tienen problemas con esto, es no puedes esperar más allá de la ventana de daño para usar tus habilidades, ya que todo el daño de la Mecha está justamente en eso, en su estado de Mecha, de Igniter, cuando activas la Z, ¿no? Entonces, si tú ves una ventana de daño, haz el mayor daño posible, tira tus habilidades. Si el jefe se mueve y fallas todo, está bien, no hay problema. Espera la próxima ventana de daño y repite el proceso. Esto es algo que incluso los jugadores más experimentados, los mejores podríamos decir, de la maga, también experimentan ello. Ellos también fallan sus habilidades. Así que no te hagas problemas si fallas todo.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. So, my last question, Saintone. ¿Cuál sería el nivel de objeto ideal para tener mis alters con la salida de Vicas? So, which would you say be a good eye level to have my alters when Vicas comes out?
I usually recommend that at the bare minimum, you raise your alts to 1370. Bare minimum. If you want to go higher than that, that is up to you. But at 1370, the Una's task daily, the daily quest, and the Chaos Dungeon will give you the next leap stone. And as long as you do that every day, you will build up your leap stone and you will build up the honor shards. And when you finally feel ready to upgrade your character, hopefully they have a lot of shards and they have a lot of leap stones already farmed. Characters that are underneath 1370, they don't get the great honor leap stones, which I think in many servers is twice as expensive as the normal honor leap stones. So, get them to at least 1370. If you want to upgrade them to 1415, then you can do that, and then you can play Vulcan on them. Some people are waiting for stronghold research, and I don't know how long it'll take for that to appear in the West. You can wait for it if you want. It's up to you, but we don't know when Amazon wants to actually release that. So bare minimum, get your character to 1370, and then if you want to go higher, up to you. Yeah, up to you.
Recomiendo que lleves como mínimo tus alts a 1370. En este punto, las caos y las diarias de una te darán las leapstones grandes. Mientras hagas eso todos los días, tendrás tus fragmentos de honor y todas tus piedras de salto grandes farmeadas eventualmente para un punto en el que puedas seguir mejorándolos. El tema está en que antes de 1370 no ganas las piedras de salto grandes, que son las que necesitas para el resto del juego. Así que sí, eso sería el mínimo, 1370. Aunque hay harta gente que está esperando la mejora de Honing que debería implementarse para la fortaleza. Pero no se sabe con certeza cuándo Amazon desea implementar esto en el juego. Porque ya dijeron que no viene con esta actualización. Entonces, eso, no tenemos esta mejora y depende de ti. Y completamente de ti si decides subir tus alters más allá de 1370. Pero ese sería un buen mínimo para tenerlos cuando salga Vicas.
Muchas gracias, Mimi. Bien, Saint. Okay, I'm gonna say this in Spanish first. Ok, Saint, estaríamos llegando al final de la entrevista y antes de esto quería saber si tú tienes alguna pregunta que nos quieras hacer o algo que quieras comentar de tu parte antes de terminar la entrevista. Y después de terminar la entrevista te quería pedir un pequeñito favor. Okay, so this is we're getting to the end of the interview, and before we end, do you have any question or commentary that you want to ask us, or just say it, or anything like that? And after we end the interview, I want to ask you a little favor.
Okay. I don't really have much to say. I think you guys can already see that Lost Ark is better today than it was 4 months ago in the Western version, or 3 months ago, or even 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It kind of gets more fun. I know a lot of it right now is just like you do your Vulcan, you do your Argos, and you're done, right?
Yeah.
But especially like once you get to a point where many of your alt characters are getting to 1440, 1415, and then later 1430 and 1445, you don't run out of things to do. You will have so many raids to do, and the nice thing about Lost Ark is it's always fun to do them. It's always enjoyable. It doesn't feel too repetitious. So I hope that within the next few months, hopefully, the Western players, the majority of them will be able to get many of their alts into, doing like Escaluda, Vulcan, maybe even Vicus normal. So I would be warned. Fair warning is when that does happen, the odds are, because players are earning more gold, cost of blue crystals will go up. Things like Pheons will get more annoying, especially when you have to gear up your alt characters. So there's frustrations. It gets better, but there's still frustrations later on. Try to be patient. I know many people don't like the way that Amazon is handling the game, but I would make a very strong argument that it's better than many of the alternatives that could have been publishing the game in the West. Yeah.
Yeah, I give you that.
The lesser of evils, one might say.
Lost Ark va mejorando cada vez más. Antes era un fiasco en el oeste hace un par de meses. Cada vez es mejor. Hoy, por ejemplo, tienes tus personajes haces Baltan, haces Argos y listo. Esto es divertido, pero se vuelve incluso mejor. Cuando tus personajes lleguen a 1415, 1445, tendrás harto contenido para hacer con todos estos personajes. A tal punto de que probablemente te falte tiempo para hacer todo este contenido. Así que ojalá la gente suba sus personajes a estos niveles de objeto para hacer cada vez más cosas. Aunque debo admitir que con la llegada de nuevas instancias para obtener oro, se viene también una pequeña inflación y no está de más mencionar que la presencia de los Pheons siempre va a estar ahí y siempre va a ser una molestia. Esto significa que por más que avancemos esa pequeña molestia, esas pequeñas molestias van a seguir estando, pero cada vez son menos. Y con respecto a mucha gente se queja del trabajo que está haciendo Amazon con el juego, Saintone nos dice que Amazon Games es mucho mejor que un montón de empresas que pudieron haber tomado el juego para publicarlo acá en el oeste. Podríamos decir que es como el mal menor.
Muchas gracias, Mimi, por estar traduciendo esta noche y muchas gracias, Saint, por estar participando en este primer capítulo de Entrevistando una Leyenda. Contigo ha sido un real honor poder tenerlo aquí. También gracias a Kelly, que fue la que nos pudo conectar y hacer esto posible. Recuerda acá abajito unirse y seguir a los canales de Twitch y de YouTube de Saintone, que tuvo la gran amabilidad de estar más de una hora de su tiempo acá entrevistándose con nosotros. Muchas gracias. Y ahora le vamos a pedir un pequeñito favor, si es que puede. Le vamos a pedir, chiquillo, vamos a ver si es que nos sale un fallo. Yo esto lo voy a hacer por usted. Le voy a contar la historia de cómo empezó. Ok, so I just say, like, for wrap it up the YouTube video, so thank you, Saintone, and for having the time to be here. I really appreciate it. It's like, it blew my mind when you say yes, to be honest. It's really weird, like, to have, like, to be speaking with an actual, like, for saying in a way, like a pro player of the Lost Ark in Korea. It's like kind of surreal. So I really appreciate. I hope your community like a little bit of this. It didn't. I hope it wasn't like bad. It's my first interview in my life, so I hope you have fun and you feel comfortable.
It was great, and everyone in my chat is saying that Mimi is a Giga Chad. Amazing translations.
Yeah, Mimi.
Thank you so much. That I really appreciate that.
MVP Mimi.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't think too much about it. I mean, like, as far as like a channel goes, my channel only blew up very recently, so don't think I'm like some like some very important player or something. I'm
No,
just,
but more than that, like, I respect you as a player, but as a content creator, because you're made so much content. I saw your, like, documents of the game, like, you have worked on this game, like, you have put in the hours, like.
I just made that so that I would get more viewers. Don't worry about it.
I know, but it's still work, and I appreciate it. So, okay, before we finish, I want to ask, like, the little favor. So,
Yeah.
we have a meme in my channel, and I'm gonna shortly tell you, like, the story of the meme. So I was in tier 2, about to get to tier 3, and I was 2 pieces away from it. And the first piece was at 90% success rate, and it failed.
Okay.
And then I got to 97%, and it failed again. And I kind of like got angry because I was like hunting like half an hour or an hour maybe, like doing like the hunting to get to tier 3, like, because I stack a lot of materials and then I hunt. And then, of course, I got to the PT and 100% success. And the last piece was at 90% also. And it freaking failed. So I got a 90% fail, 97% fail, and 90% fail back to back. And I got so angry that I just say something like this. Fallo. I don't know if you can see my webcam.
I can't. No.
No? Okay, so in English, it will be failure. Yeah. So
Okay.
could you recreate this meme? Like any way you can do it is great. It's just for my community, for the meme. The way I do it is I say like fallo, fallo, fallo. I don't know if you can say that.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Fallo. Can you?
Fallo.
Yeah, perfectly.
Fallo?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So just recreate it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Fallo, fallo, fallo!
Oh my god, that's perfect. Oh my god, Saint, you're a freaking god. Thank you very, very, very much for that. My community completely loves you. This is the greatest time in my life, dude. Like, oh my god. Thank you very much.
I hope you have better luck next time.
Yeah. The luck was got better over time, and now I'm at Baltan Hard, so I'm happy. Need to get to Baikas
Thank you very
Hard.
much for having me. It was fun. I don't get to interact with the South American community very often, so you know, I always feel bad when I'm talking about stuff about Lost Ark, and I'll be like, oh yeah, EU and NA, and it's like, oh, what about South America?
Yeah.
You know, I think every game that I've played, there's always been a good South American community. I've only had good experiences with South American players.
Oh, that's
and I know
nice.
you guys blame each other, but that's okay because I've only had good experiences with South American players.
Yeah. South America like loves MMORPGs. Okay, so let's wrap it up. Really thank you, Saint. I don't want to like take more time of you. I hope we can like do something like this again in the future if you have time. It was really great to have you here again. Really thank you, and thank to your community.
Yep. Thank you again for all the support, and I hope you have. Oh, and actually, thank you for doing the interview at a time that was convenient for me. I think it's quite late.
Yeah,
in
it's
South
3 in the
America, right?
morning, but don't worry, my stream always like end up kinda in this time, so it hasn't like too much of a change of time. So don't worry,
Okay,
It
good,
was just perfect. That's why I
Nice,
rate you,
yeah,
because
no?
you can start streaming when I end my stream, so it's kind of perfect.
Okay. Well,
But you know-
thanks again, and I will have a good night, and I'll let you get to it. Okay.
Okay, Saint.
Before you leave, can I ask something?
Sure.
Please. I would like to thank you in behalf of the whole South American community and here the community we have built in this channel as well. And also thanks to your chat for saying I'm a Giga Chat. This is one of the first times I've ever done this. I did it for fun. I studied this, but I did it for fun and to practice to improve my English, and it has worked. And you really have cheered me up with those comments saying I'm a Giga Chat and etc. So really, thank you so much.
Yeah, I couldn't understand it, but it sounded good, you know. So, and like I was saying that it was good, so I trust them. So I'm sure it was good. So
Awesome.
great job. Okay.
Thank you a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Saint.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Good night, Saint.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you.